Hello, this is Brian Whitten and ET Art. I wanted to put another video up today because we're getting pretty close to the date when all these things are supposed to happen, and the event in Australia is due very, very quickly. Before I say any more, I will get you, if you're 13 or younger, to go and get your parents if you would, and get them to watch this video, and if you're allowed to watch it, well then after that, that's fine. There is one thing I will mention before I go on, as today is the grand final, if the NRL grand final in Sydney. It is between Canberra and the Sydney City Roosters. It is a grand final that if our Prime Minister does not open his mouth very, very quickly and start talking on national TV and radio about the associations with child trafficking and the hidden truths of that prior to the 27th of October this month, I would expect Canberra, this will be their last grand final. Not because they aren't a good team, but because the Canberra City will be gone. And it will be gone by about the 6th of November this year. Well, some of you are new to my channel. What I would like you to do now is I actually put this rock under. This was off my programmable rock video. I thought long and hard about this, and what happened was I put this rock under the microscope to make the video, only to find that these additional lines had come in here. Right, and I get in here and start blowing them out thinking, oh well, it must be just something that's happened because this wasn't on there 5 minutes before. Okay, so this has happened within about 5 minutes. This line here, this one here was here, but this one here was not. So what I'll do is I'll just get you to watch what I do. I blow it again and put it in under here. This is, like I said, I was making a rock about a programmable rock, or I was making a video about a programmable rock. So I really thought long and hard before I did this. And I did say in this video, I'm not in a habit of making a fool of myself. It was just that it was necessary. I had things disappearing, coming and going, messages that I would work out why they were there, and then as soon as I work out why they were there, off they go. See this line come up here, but it's not only that one, you're not just seeing that one, you're seeing this one come in here and draw a pyramid, like that. So there's obviously logic behind that happening. It's been driven on and off by whoever it is that wanted me to see that happen. But they also wanted you to see what happened. That taught me something. But doing in the middle of the video, right in the middle of making it. So like I said, that's in the programmable rock video if you want to go back and watch that. But I wanted to show you that because if you haven't been to my channel before, you'll realise that there are some rather amazing things that's transpired over the years, or over the months I should say, and I'll show you a few of them. When we look at the inserted rock image now, it's the rock my son found. It actually is where it all kicked off from some time back, and that led to me understanding the line that runs from left to right. I'll circle them for you. And the 3 dots down it on the left side made me ponder as to whether in actual fact it was pointing to what was the imaginary line that went around the planet, and that was the one that linked all the megaliths. It goes through the pyramids, through Easter Island and so on, and in actual fact that's exactly what it was, and it was a rock telling me over on this side of the globe that the earth had been tilted, and that is how I kicked off. So I've gone to the pyramids because I know it's on the line, and that is what happened. I'm showing you this picture now because this is in actual fact where the rock was found. There's a hole off to this side here and to the right. It's about 20 foot deep. And my son found that rock here. Actually it was washed up on this side here, actually just back a little bit back off this tree around this side. I wanted to show you this because I wanted you to have a look at the bridge here. Okay, because the first time he found this I said keep that, it looks important. Strangely enough he decided not to keep it and chucked it back in the river. I got back to the car, I said where's the rock? He said I've chucked it back in the river. I said oh, not much I can do about it now, it was back in a river like this, there's rocks everywhere. But what I wanted to show you is that we had a flood and the river got to be this high. So we're now looking at the same river, okay, and that's the bridge that you can see on that last photo. was the same place. So if that's the bridge there, you can see that we've had that much more water over the bridge. Okay. We went back 3 months after this, and that's where he found this rock again at his feet, the same rock. So that on its own is really quite amazing. If you knew what we'd gone through to this point, like I had gone for many years trying to report corruption attached to the family court in Newcastle at great risk to myself. When we kicked off again doing this, it was at great risk, just not to myself but my two boys, because they were these people that we were going to be messing with when we kicked this thing off. Was the people that start the wars in our world. So I just wanted you to see that it was really quite amazing that he found it again, and we'll move on. I wanted to discuss something that I put in the last video as well, and that was the 4 that was written on this rock. And in my opinion, what we were seeing here were the depiction of 2 comets, smaller one hitting the Central America, which is South America here, the small one hitting Central America, and the large one with this pointer coming off the bottom of South America. I'll do an insert now yet again of that, the actual impact that tilted the globe. But what I said to you is, it said on this rock there were 4 there. Right? And I also, if I look at this inserted picture of the African continent and then expand out, this is also off a rock, that we are seeing comets, 2 rocks coming in what created the Mediterranean. One of those was from here. That's what it says. It says it on the rock, and where that says 4, it's actually 5. It's 1 and 4. So this inserted image you see now has got 4 comets above the Australian landmass, having separated it 6,000 years ago from Asia. That's exactly what they say they did. And I believe they, far more than I believe anybody who walks this planet as a human, I can assure you. So when we look at this 4, and I said to you it isn't 4, it's actually 5, there is a place where they tell you in the pyramid cross section, and we'll show you where exactly what they say happened. I don't want to rehash too much here. I have put this in the Pyramid Decoded video. This is a cross section of the pyramid and shows the points on the same line of longitude, the 2 comets that hit South American. That's the bottom of South America, that's a Central American impact. Here is where you're getting one of the comets taken off. Of the 5 that break off after it hits South America, which is what I've just showed you on the rock, 1 gets taken away from there, and it is used to drive, as the other rock image said, with the one from Central America to drive the planet down. And that is exactly where, in the pyramid, it tells you exactly what it does. It takes one of the 5 comets from here, puts it with the one that came from here. This is where you know they're holding them up in the air, delivering them. And you know the whole process is how I worked it out, how the whole process was an intentional thing. The whole thing was intentional, and this was here telling us why. And then I worked out why. It's a sequence, it goes over and over and over, and has done for what would be an estimated 15 million years from this installed plate. The twists left and right are talking about the rotation of the Earth. It is only ever changed in rotation, left anti-clockwise or clockwise, when it is being brought back in from the outer ring of travel, which is 40 million miles beyond Mars. Before this, I can tell you now, 6,000 years ago, the Mediterranean didn't exist, and I'll show you where on the Saxo-Human walls it says they landed. And it's very important, right, because we've got to understand when we go and look at the globe, I will show you shortly, that at the time that this happens, there's a very advanced race of people on the planet here. There are people like us, there are people like the reptilians, there are people everywhere, they're all totally different, UFOs flying everywhere. They get rid of it all because they built a new civilization, another one. And the Göbekli Tepe, when we look at it in the pillars, I know there's one pillar there that only has 1 human figure on it. Maybe that's why, because the pillars pointing to the star system they take that bunch of humans to. I think that's what happens here. We get moved away, but only the people who move from here are put through an educational process here and made sure that this 666 stuff and whatever it is these crazy maniacs do to children is not existent on the planet at the time they come back to support it. Like, they're going to have to stay here the whole time now. They have to help us the whole time, and I'll explain why as I go along. I just wanted to show you that is where that extra comet is taken off here. Now, I've just brought up the Sacsayhuaman walls in Peru, at least an aerial view using Google Earth. I'll be honest with you, this comes up like this and I don't quite know why, except for the fact that it's useless. I cannot do any presentation with this because it's nowhere near like what it's like. So I will pull up a few other images that I have, and we'll forget about using Google Earth at this part, but I just wanted you to be aware of these, where it is, and I'll show you. Actually, I think I said in my last video this was above the equator. I was wrong, it was actually below the equator. It is right there. Okay, so here's your equator, so I'm a bit below, but it's pretty much irrelevant still from where it is. What I do want you to know, I'll show you on the next image. Now, as you can see, this is far more clearer, and this is the part I put in to the last video, which was telling us the date. Remembering that the time that this is happening, that the time the axis is being tilted 6,000 years ago, the people are intelligent. There's everybody here. Nothing is hidden. There are no people here going around chopping up and eating babies. This is a warning for us. This is telling us what we are going to incur at the other end. So they're giving the process of moving away from the plane a lesson in coming back into the plane. That's exactly what they've done here. This comet is the first one that has to hit. It's the one from this inserted image that is depicted in the middle of Western Australia. If I follow the trajectory, and I'll show you that in a minute, it is coming at Canberra. That's exactly what will happen. It'll come straight in and it's going to take the whole lot out from the coast all the way through. So it's going to be used to actually do something with the Earth. I watched a video last night about there being a wobble starting to happen on the Earth. They're going to have to come sooner. They need to be here really, really quickly because we've got a year of things and preparation to deal with what we've got to deal with. What it does is tell us our date. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it ends there. So between the 10th and the 11th month, what day? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the 6th day. It's the 6th of the 11th, which is what I said it was going to be. It's actually halfway between my son's and my birthday, albeit that's irrelevant. Maybe not. I think it was he and I had to stand at our kitchen sink some time back and discuss whether we were willing to risk our lives. And my 15-year-old said, yes, Dad, we'll have a go. So I'm still here. And so was he. And thankfully, and I'm hoping the boys that built this wall make sure we're all still here to the end too. So this is what's going down here. We're getting a date set for this comet, the one that is depicted as landing in Australia on exactly the plane of line, or at least the line, the angle is exactly the same as the line I've drawn. I'll show you that in a minute, but I wanted to come back to that one. The only other one I wanted to show you here was where the walls are. This is the walls along here, right, and they turn around here. This is one thing I wanted. I have put this in the Sacsayhuaman wall video, but you're seeing here, that is the scale model of how much of the Mediterranean existed. Just there. That's as much as what was there, and I'll show you on the map when we get there just where it was. This is a marker, and it's a marker for the comet that's coming to hit us to straighten the globe up, right at the end here. Where they landed the comet to start the creation of the Mediterranean. They didn't need to do it then. Everybody was gone that they wanted to get off the planet. They put it there because that's where it has to come back to straighten it up, which is right there, right in line with the end of the initial part of this where it started and extended the Mediterranean is exactly the line of longitude it needs to hit to straighten the globe up. The only other thing I wanted to show you on that was once again, we are looking at here, and I have shown you this before, where we're tracking two walls here. These walls here are tracking two comets, and there it gets cut into three. Okay, and from that point forward you track three comets. And this is exactly what I expect we are going to see happen again. We will see one comet cut off something that's coming here. They probably already know it's on the way, they're just not saying anything, but that's what's going to happen. This one here, the middle one, is going to land in Australia on the 6th of November this year, and it won't be far away. Our Prime Minister needs to start talking loudly, and I'll show you on Google Earth now where it landed. Now I've got Google Earth open now to the entrance of the Mediterranean, and this is where the comet landed, right there. That's where it ended. It used to come in like that and go like that, and that was it. What you have now is what was created 6,000 years ago. That is what they tell us happened. And the reason for that is to line the line of longitude up for the next impact, which was here. We'll also find that I've already mentioned to you about this device that was found in a farmer's paddock in a place called Murcia. And what I wanted you to also know, that I watched something last night as a documentary about something that happened in Spain on the very same line of longitude. In France it was, when I think about it. I'll just insert a little story here that I watched last night in a documentary. It was about a UFO incident that had occurred in a university environment in France, in a place called Oberon or Oleron. I'm going to go and do a search for it. We'll see where it comes down, okay, on our line or trajectory. I'm not too far off, am I? So we're coming in this way. What happened here was there was a UFO showed up over this university, and it started letting stuff out of the bottom of it that looked like spider webs. It was called angel web, I think they call it. And it covered the schoolyard. They did tests on it, it burnt. They could set it on fire. They thought it looked like some sort of plastic stuff. I do recommend you go and watch it. I'll put it up on the screen here so you can know where to go and find it, what to look for on YouTube. But that happened at this place here. Like I'm saying, this is our trajectory for the comet. The one that's going to come back in and straighten up the globe is going to come in from south here, and it has to actually lift up the globe this way, so it'll come at night time. We've already discussed this in the last video. Like I said, I didn't want to rehash, I just wanted to make you sure of a couple of things. That was one thing. The other thing that was very, very important, that's a long day, 240 days in a year. This one here was 465, and that was where Wingham to Canberra here was exactly where that came into. It was 465 kilometres from where I lived in Wingham. And Wingham, albeit it seems irrelevant, it's actually in every one, okay? It's in every one of the places. There's a Wingham here, where I found the rock. There is a Wingham in Canada that gives me the line through for the New York incident. And there's a Wingham in Canterbury in England that is used to set the width of the comet that hits it. So Wingham is relative in all three. In my instance over here, it is more relative to the treatment of the Aboriginals. That's exactly why it's here. Another thing I discussed in my last video was these. They are all over the rocks. Digging machines going flat out like this. This one in the video I think is in 4 Rocks Part 2 or Part 3. One of those videos I find this digging machine, this thing going around, it's actually quite impressive. If you look at this, it comes out really clear that you see this UFO here, and this rotating thing here is digging all the dust off and flying up. These diggers are everywhere. I'll show you that, and the reason why I wanted to show you that is I spoke and have spoken about Earth crust displacement being an impossibility. It is. If the Earth tilts, getting hit down as low as it was, it is impossible for Earth crust displacement to be a case. However, what I think they are showing us here is they are skilled, very, very, very skilled, and they know how to do a real lot of things that we would not even imagine possible, but they've been doing this for 15 million years, so they know what they're doing. What I want you to do is realise what we're doing here. They're drilling holes through a landmass underneath the continents. I'll show you one other thing. I showed you these in the last video as well. I used to live in New Zealand for, ironically, 6 years. I was glad I left, I can assure you. I got away from a lot of rubbish that was obviously going on in this country and around my family, I would expect. But I won't go there. I want to show you these because what I've just showed you was big boring machines going through the ground written on rocks. Why are they there? They're not there just because they had nothing better to do. They're there to tell us what the hell is going down. Imagine, if you imagine 4 of those sitting alongside a road, what weight could you roll along? That I can tell you now, I can get a whopping great big bit of concrete like this, put 3 glass marbles under it, and I could roll it along a bit of concrete with ease. Pull the marbles out at the front, put them in at the front, roll them along, roll them along. I want you to ponder now. I'll go back to Google Earth and ponder. Why are we getting shown these things? Earth crust displacement is impossible if the globe tilts with a comet impact so low down from the mass. The mass is rotating at the equator. So therefore, these things, why are we getting them here? People will tell you this is natural. I'll tell you a lot of things. I'll tell you the Mediterranean's been there for 50,000 years or something. These people know what's going down because they did it. I want you to ponder then. See what you're seeing. What lesson are we getting taught here? We are getting taught they have a way of protecting land masses when they've got to move the body of the earth underneath the landmass. And I reckon that's what they're doing. I'll show you something. When I look at Iceland, and I've just showed you what I have showed you, I want you to, what do you visualise here? Did we not push the planet down? Wasn't that not the last movement? I mean, I'm not saying we didn't go quick like this. Yes, we did, but we're in an area here where that wouldn't have had as much effect. What are we seeing here with Iceland? Can you see that? See this? Are we seeing here what I've just suggested being the case? That if you had a landmass, just say, well, let's just stick with Iceland, shall we? If in actual fact that landmass, as it looks, has slid this way, therefore if I draw or drill holes through like this, crisscross it like this. Remember, these people have been doing this for 15 million years. Crisscross it like that, and put a whole lot of those stone balls in the holes I've drilled, and this goes bang like that, and the landmass can snap off because it's been weakened by all the holes drilled through the bottom of it, and slide on the rocks they've put underneath it, and slide it over here, like that. In actual fact, that distance, I'll just out of hand, I'll just measure what it was. If we're looking at that, we might be saying, okay, well, we're looking at the same sort of figure here, 1,000 kilometres of this here. It looks like they've made the mass of the planet, the mass of Iceland, move. It's rolled. And I think that's what all those rocks are there for, and that's why I think we're getting the drill holes left in all the little rocks to let us know how they manage the situation. In our case, they have made it very clear. If I go back to Australia now, what they did do is they said, we've made it very clear, and they've told me through, I know it sounds bloody stupid, but that's why I started with putting a white line on that rock, because some of the things I might say might sound a little bit weird, but when you see something like that, you can understand what's been going on at my end of things too, and I've just got to deal with them and move on, I think, logically with most things. When I look at the situation we've got here, they definitely, without doubt, wanted me to tell you that this landmass was separated. Without doubt, I'm not kidding, there was a big shiny thing on my rock, I'll insert it now, a picture of it, a shiny, big shiny thing here. It wasn't until I worked out that this incident here which is very, very easy to see. When you bring in Google Earth, you can see there's been a big comet come in here, a big wide one, and it's gone right across the continent, landed up here, right there, and pushed the landmass this way, and that's how this mountain range in New Guinea was created, right? But they said this happened in the sequence to get it back in from the line of rotation beyond Mars. That was one of the incidents that brought us back. The other one, 6,000 years ago, separated all this. What they are letting me tell you, or want me to tell you, is the landmass here was separated. Without doubt. And they're coming here. I'm pretty sure they're going to make this their base, and this is where they're going to work from. It might be that they pick up everybody they want on the globe, put it on that continent, and smash the rest of it. I do not know. They are going to tell us that, but I'm under the impression, looking at Iceland, that they are telling us there's a way we can do it. We are very, very good at our jobs, and they've done it for a very long time. So, like I said, if you're a good person, don't panic too much. I'm sure whatever they have to knock out of the way, they will help replace. And I do want to move on with a few other important matters now. The image I've got on the screen now is the Roswell rock. Obviously it was found in Roswell, which by the way is 33.33.33 north. Many places are, but like I said, it was 33.33.33 where I slid my rock. This one, under a microscope and got this image of, was in exactly the same place, which was 33.33 kilometres or miles, either one or the other, directly to the Prime Minister's roof. And I said to you that what we're seeing here is a representation of what they do. So in other words, when we come back into plane with the sun, we're already getting very, very high UV ratings, or recordings I should say, in the Arctic Circle already. It's already getting twice or more UV than it would normally get. This is a major problem. This is a very, very narrow band of horizontal magnetism of the sun. It doesn't just cause increased rotational speed. It causes volcanoes. We have problems with volcanoes going off even on days when the moon's a bit closer. This is far, far worse than that. It drives tsunamis with the tide every day, would be a tidal wave. That's why they've got to come down here and help us. And that's why they don't go. They can't go. They can't entrust this to what? Government? Who? England? America? Who are you going to trust this to? I'll tell you, the people that will be running this thing will be them. Who comes here, they'll be like us. There'll be people that look just like you and I. There'll be people that look like reptilians, because that's what they are. I'll cover that in a minute, but I wanted to come back here because of what happens here. I'll show you that, and I'll show you one other image. This is the other image I wanted to show you in respect of Roswell Rock. Was the same thing. We're seeing an indication here of the moon being moved further away and cycle the sun, not Earth, and it'll be in line with Earth. So what we get in, we wake up in the morning and we get a partial eclipse. In the middle of the day we've got a full eclipse, and in the afternoon a partial eclipse again. And this is being done because the very narrow horizontal band of magnetism is going to drive UV that burns us all, would kill everything. I want to note where it's put. It's put in a field of grain for a very good reason. We're going to get 8 hours less a day. The food that we've got on our planet, how are we going to grow it? What is going to grow? That brings me to the next manuscript that seems unexplained. I've just got this image on the screen. It is one of the pages out of the Voynich manuscript. It's a manuscript that was found, I think, in about 1700. I don't want to worry too much about the writing. I have a feeling the person that wrote it may have thought the same. I'm not sure. I know a lot of you smart guys have had a look at it, and you'd be a lot cluier than I would when it comes to their code and the ways of working it out. And I believe you've also used a lot of computer algorithms to try and work it out. Still, we have not busted the code. I'm looking at pictures, because what I just told you, that we are going to go into a situation where we are going to be sped up. We're going to lose 8 hours a day. Our rotation will take 16 hours, not 24. And I've said we've got to 2 planes, rotating planes, vertical on the sun and 1 horizontal. And how many hours do we lose? 8. How many have we got here? 8. Exactly the same. What have we got here? And we count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Exactly the amount of years, or thousands of years, we are on plane with the sun. 16,000 years. Are we not seeing exactly the same thing represented here? There's not just ones either, I'll show you some more. Here's another image. I think the reason I wanted to show you this, mostly, was what I just said to you happened when the impact hit the bottom of South America, which is about there. And I said that it created 5 comets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I wanted to show you with that one. All the way through the manuscript, there is what appears to be plant life that is not known of. In other words, things that don't identify to be anything. You know, we're probably being told here we cannot grow, that they're going to come with some new seeds. I know that might sound weird, but we've got a situation here where we're going to have 8 hours less every day. It's going to affect a lot of things. It may affect humans much more than we expect. Our sleeping patterns, the growing patterns of our food and our vegetables. There is a real lot that we have to take into understanding here, and I think that's what we're going to be taught as well. I'll zoom in a little bit on this image because it's not overly clear. Very, very unusual diagram, but when I just told you that they build tunnels under the land masses and put rocks in them to roll the land mass on, I don't know. Maybe that could be trying to tell us that that's exactly what I suggested is what happens. That was one other thing. The other thing I wanted to show you was that some of the plant forms and plant life that they put on, in actual fact, got the right amount of numbers here. Of course, we know there's 6,000 for each cycle. We've got 6,000 here. I mean 6 branches. So, you know, this is what I'm seeing here is the likelihood that a lot of this representation here is representation of exactly what our problem is. Both, you know, in the picture diagrams and telling us issues we're going to have, growing food and whatnot, once we meet the plane of the sun, which is why the plane of the sun and all those numbers are written in those other diagrams. We've got problems with this food. And like I said, there's a lot to contend, which would also be why they need to be here early, because we need to get the crops in the ground to grow enough to get ready for the day when it happens, because immediately after, so we're going to have to grow a lot of food to put it away to get those new crops into the new farms and to whoever else it is going to be here doing things. Like I said, they're not going away. They're here to help, and they will not put the control of this into the hands of any government on this planet. That's the one thing I can tell you they're not going to do. They'll be doing this themselves. That is all I wanted to discuss with the Voynich manuscript. I will. You can go and look that up on Google. It's quite amazing that there has been many attempts to understand and decode all the writing in between the pictures, and certainly I'm not even going to go close to even attempting to do it. I just wanted to make you aware of there is attachments here, and within the story of the manuscript is warning us of things we need to understand when we come into plane with the sun. That's what I wanted to show you there. I haven't covered the New York incident too much, nor the incident in the UK to any real degree in this one, because I put that in the last video and I didn't want to, like I said, rehash. I did want to come back to Australia because I would say here we have gone past the page, or the page where we were supposed to be getting help to stop this actually doing the damage. I think we're going to end up with 10 days to get people out of the way. They might stop the damage up the coast. And remember that I moved up the coast here. I moved from there. I used to live in Newcastle. I'll show you where I used to live in New South Wales. I'll just move that up so you can get all of it into one view. This is Canberra here. Okay, and I used to live in Newcastle, which is here. I now live up here. I moved from here to here. I've never lived off the coast in my entire life. No matter what country I lived in, I've always lived on the coast. This is the first time I've ever moved inland off the coast. And I moved because one night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard a big bang, went outside, saw a UFO come through the atmosphere, and it stopped over there, a long way away from my house, and then changed direction and came straight up to be above my home and then headed north. And I took that as a bit of a sign maybe I should head north. I know that might sound weird, but I did, and I'm glad I did, because my son came up here and found that rock, and we've now done all this, so I'm glad we did. But the reason I wanted to show you that is that actually the day I left that house, and it could be verified by the man moving the stuff out of my house, I did hire somebody to do it. The UFO was over, there was a UFO over the house on the very day I moved, and the man who actually came to move the gear witnessed it. I called him over and said, have a look up, what can you see? And he looked up and gone, oh shit, a UFO! So anyway, that's what happened. So I guess moving up here, I just figured, well, if something's going to come in out of space and do that, I figured I've got to get out of the place, you know. So I moved up here, and all this is eventuated. So, but the reason I wanted to show you was I was sort of getting the gist to move away from Newcastle. This is Canberra down here, it's a long way away, you know. So I don't know how much they're going to try and protect this, sir. I would expect that Mr. Morrison, he's known about this for 6 months and he hasn't done a bloody thing. He hasn't phoned me, he hasn't contacted me. I haven't seen him on the TV saying this. I haven't seen him doing anything but smoke screens, which is pretty much all you get out of federal government. I wanted to show you that, but I can tell you I live there and I was getting told by them to move north to here and inland. It's not going to be much fun around here, I would expect. I expect this is actually, we're not going to get a lot of help because Mr. Morrison has not done what he was told to do. Move quickly. He has not moved quick enough, I'm afraid. I'm expecting a situation of that to be rather catastrophic, and I'm hoping they come and do some protection here to stop that and stop down here getting smashed apart as well. I have a feeling you've cooked your goose, if you ask me, but anyway. I just wanted to bring us back to this diagram that is on a cave wall, albeit it may look like it's supposed to be an archaic thing. I can assure you it was written here to tell us exactly about planetary motion, which is what it's doing. These two here, the flat cycles, that when the planet is laid flat like this, like so the axis is like this, it moves out to Mars, beyond Mars here. The reason they're doing this is they're saying our planet will stay, providing it has a 24-degree tilt or thereabouts, with the rotating vertical planes of the sun, it will stay in the right position. Laid flat it will not. It does not keep its position and it moves out. It doesn't just move out. What we're seeing here is the precession of the planet and wobble gradually increase on one pole. That's exactly what happens here when it's laid flat. Tells you that. It actually says it. I'll show you another thing. But that's what I wanted to show you here, and then when that pushes back in, it takes multiple occasions to push it back in. And what they're teaching us here is there's multiple rings of rotation we can have around the sun, not just the two that we are talking of. We can have that one, that one, that one, this one, that one. So in actual fact, they're actually doing the same thing. I've even seen an image on a rock. I haven't seen it anywhere else, and I'm not going to put it on here and say that's what it is, but I've seen things that look like two balls with a line going between them. And when I say that, whether they get Earth back in line with Mars here, and they're able to siphon the water from one world to the other. I know that might sound weird, but these people can push a planet out beyond Mars and bring it back and do that for 15 million years. They may very well just siphon the water off Earth as it goes past, or before they push it out there. You know, we might be doing that ourselves, I would expect, in the next, you know, our next periods of time now. We're going to be developing what we were for 6,000 years ago. going to do exactly the same thing again. And then they'll smash it all and start again. And put another bunch of us somewhere else in the solar system. That's what's going to happen. We all go, they just ship us off to make another civilization somewhere else, and they make sure the people that are going do not bring in what was brought into this. They will bring in and make sure into these other worlds that they do not bring in the element that is on this planet. It won't go away from this solar system, that behaviour. And that's why they go through this cleansing process, I think, to make sure that the men and women that leave our planet at each and every time this happens have lived through an environment of deception, have lived through an environment of lust, if that's what you want to call it, or whatever, but through this 666 environment and the world of money and purchase. So that's what I think we're getting taught here. So we're getting taught there's multiple rings of rotation we can sit in. The planet gets stood back up straight here when it gets level with Mars. And this is the end of the cycle. We've spoken about this. And that at this point we're looking at this being a 10-day. In other words, when it comes back, a 10-hour day, this hasn't been slowed down. And even in the outer ring, it's rotating to a point where you've got 10-hour days. And that may not be anything we can live in. And I think that's why we get this movement away from the solar system. That's one thing I wanted to show you. One last matter, I will show you this. And I suggested to you, this is the Earth's movement. We rotate clockwise and anti-clockwise, and the Earth's movement from the inner ring out to the outer ring and then back in. Okay, that this is showing one ring of rotation around the sun there, and the other ring of rotation there. Once again, it's in a field of grain. One thing we need to take into account, like I said, is the food. I think that this is a little bit more than that though. And I say this because of the technology I've seen on the rocks in respect fibre optics. And I've said to you there's fibre optics in the rocks. I've showed you in a video called 4 Rocks Part 3. The end of that is really quite amazing. There is some imagery that I know what I'm looking at. I've worked in the high-tech area for all my life. I actually think we're seeing here not just the way the Earth moves through the solar system, but the way they get fibre optics to work, where we have one thread. They have 4, and they can address every cross, every crisscross, all the way along the cable can be addressed. Okay? Makes our version of quantum computing look like a pencil and paper. And then you think, oh yeah, okay, well stop and think about how much you can get with 4 bits running a system like that, and then add a colour palette to it. You could get more processing power, a bit of string that long, than we've got in a floor of Google. That's one thing I wanted to show you there, because I'm absolutely certain that's what they do. They don't run one colour into these threads, they run every colour in the colour palette and different frequencies. They could pull off every frequency all round the cable, at any point in the cable. The picture we've got on the screen at the moment is the blue-eyed Buddha. A lot of people, well, I guess there's some really quite amazing things in this. When I looked at this, I want first of all for you to take notice of the swirls up here, just like the inserted plate. These little swirls here on his head. They go around in different directions. If there's 96,000 years in each one of them, that's why I'm saying to you, I don't know with a plate whether that plate is the only plate, if we only found the only one, you know, or is that plate only referring to those 2 rings. I think up here what we might be doing, he might be saying no, the swirls on the plate are how long it's been since we've only had one sun, 15 million years. Here, and all the numbers are here, I think he might be saying you add those up to 96,000 for each one of them on the head of the blue-eyed Buddha here, and you'll be getting a situation where you know exactly how long they know they've been around. So in other words, the history of all of us. Because the way I'm looking at what I'm seeing here, we are getting told by them that when this happened, we were here, just like we are now. I believe they do that. I'll take you back to that last image where I showed to you the people getting put on the planet. I'll circle them for you and show you where they are. Here is where we're getting the Asians put back on the planet. Here we're getting the Egyptians put back on the planet. This is 1,000 years between each of these dots. So they're putting people back on here, but where from? You know, so that's what I'm saying to you. I would expect we get put back on Mars at some point, and that we're traversing between here and our place where we go, you know, wherever it may be, light years away. I would expect that that's what we're seeing here. We are getting told that. So once again, if I go back to the blue-eyed Buddha and understand that what we're seeing on, I'll zoom into his hand now. Okay, I'm going right into his hand now, and you can see this little round thing here. Okay, and look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Around here again, 8 hours that we miss when we hit the plane of the sun. He has Earth in our hand. This is him. It's telling us about us, how long he's been doing it for. If we look at the curve of here and the curve of his ear, it's the same curve. So what we're doing is we're seeing this come up here, and we're looking at that circle moving and traversing straight up there to be under his chin, and that is when we're on plane with the sun or thereabouts. So I think that's what we're seeing here. I wanted to show you that, and I wanted to show you up here, the swirl here. Once again, we've got a swirl or change of direction, speed issue. So I thought that that was very pertinent, and that it should be looked at as to whether or not, in actual fact, it's representative of, first of all, we look at the person here. One interesting thing on this is here. There's actually right there, you can see that, a German swastika there. Swastika's been around for a very historical symbol. It's actually many things. I think it's significant in respect to cycles, 4 cycles. We have 2, one on the inner ring and one on the outer ring that basically change the direction around the sun. Right? So in other words, we go around the sun anti-clockwise or clockwise, however that goes. Okay, so that's one way or the other. And then we're possibly seeing a situation where the other 2 cycles are the ones that take us out, and the other one that brings us back, and they are a little bit different. Another thing we talk about with our blue-eyed Buddha is he Asian, or is he getting sleepy, or is he getting drowsy because he's just undergone a situation where he has undergone many G-forces because of a movement of the planet. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? If he's Asian, how come he's got curly hair? Because Asians don't have curly hair either. It's none of the ones I've met. Curly hair is our oldest races, the Aboriginals, our dark-skinned races from Africa. These are the ones with curly hair. I'm not saying the Greeks have curly hair too. I'm saying, as a rule, Asians do not have curly hair, nor are they fat. I actually think that this whole structure is a depiction of all of us. You know, I actually think that that's what we're seeing here. In the blue-eyed Buddha, you're seeing a big fat man, or a rich man with a lot of money. But we don't see fat Asians. I mean, we do these days, but you didn't back then. They were grain eating, you know. They'd not like that. You go and look at them, they work their backsides off. They really, really work hard, all of them. We tend to want to sit on our bum and get everything for nothing. They work and toil, and men and women on this planet work so hard, and I mean hard, work all day, every day, and I'm talking 15-hour days, and they're just getting home long enough to have a sleep to go back to do the same thing tomorrow, and lucky enough to be able to afford to buy a loaf of bread and feed their families. That is what it is like on other parts of this world, and we sit here doing what I'm doing. I'm just saying, I see him and his representation there as not being what we think it is. It is a very, very historical record of human life on this planet, I believe we're seeing in that. And not only that, he's telling us from here down who was here first. That's actually what I think is the situation. I think in this statue, he's telling us from the heads down who was here originally and who got put on later, and so on and so on. So I think there's a lot more to this statue than meets the eye. That does bring us to the end of these videos now. I've spent about 8 months compiling them and putting them together and trying to understand the megaliths and pyramids and whatnot. I've had help, obviously, if you get white lines drawn on rocks from the very people that built them. So it probably has helped me come to the get to the end with a satisfactory, at least explanation, I believe anyway. It may be unbelievable to you all, but once again, that's why I started the video the way I did. To see a white line get drawn like that on rocks, that too is unbelievable, but nonetheless it happened. It was not me doing any tricky manoeuvres. Listen, the situation is the way it is, that I would expect them to be here on the 27th of this month, so only a few weeks away from major entry into the atmosphere of rather large motherships over the cities. I have been trying to tell the Prime Minister to ensure that President Trump is aware of why they're coming and that everything in these videos is going to be correct, at least at the end. The parts at the end here, I did stumble a bit initially at the start, trying to understand the planetary motion. I'm not a physicist. I've tried to contact some because of what I was seeing and what I was getting told, by the megaliths. I haven't had any communication from anybody. I also would like to say one other thing. There's a whole lot of people in our planet going around telling you all that everything that I've told you today is a mystery. It is not a mystery. The Hiroshima bombing, the nuclear tests in Australia are on the same line of longitude as Ayers Rock, and that isn't coincidence. It is a well-known fact. There was also a war in Argentina. They have been trying to straighten the globe. They know full well the problem exists. So everything I've told you today, albeit you may not believe it, is 100% correct, and they know full well. And that is what brings me to the next bit. I call them mystery boys, the ones that go around spreading the mystery. Listen, there's no mystery here. There's none. As soon as you realise the bombs have been going off on the lines of longitude that were tilted, which is the very same line of longitude that this impact was on, it's not a mystery. Okay, I am more certain by the lack of communication that I've had from absolutely everybody I've communicated with, whether it's because they make money or profit from it being a mystery, which most of them do. I certainly am glad I did not put money before putting these videos up, because it was never ever going, I mean, it was something I had to do, but it was never ever the most important thing. The most important thing was to get the truth out and not put money in my pocket doing it. So that's what I've strived to do that. I hope I've achieved at least the job I got given, because I was given this job. I got given this job when I went on a holiday, and I found the secret of the world revealed to me on my 60th birthday by seeing this image under a rock. I couldn't believe it. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. The tent had leaked. Somebody pulled some pegs out, I think, outside. That's what got me up. I've had a lot of funny things happen over these months, very, very unusual things. Not just writing, white lines on rocks. I have had some unusual things happen. Listen, all I can say is this: I've tried to put what I am being led to believe is the case, is truthful, up as quickly as possible, because I sensed a situation of, not gloom, certainly I sensed an urgency without doubt, and I'm glad I did now, because really we're from the 6th of November from Canberra not being here anymore. That's the reality there, and that's not going to be wrong. It will be 100% correct. I wish I was wrong. Trust me, I would like to be wrong about a whole lot of this, but unfortunately I'm not going to be. The day is upon us. We are very, very, very close now, only weeks away from major, well, I don't know what sort of world we're going to live in, but we are going to be controlled far more than what we are now in some respects. I don't know. I don't know what their laws and rules are. I had a fair idea they don't want anybody killing anybody. That's probably one of the things. That's why I don't think they're going to come down here and kill anybody. That's why, that's why I'm seeing on a rock, if I show you this rock again, we've got a man kneeling down here. He's at a trial. He's getting his mind read. I don't know. I mean, to me, for them to come down and want to kill everybody on this planet, right, or the people that are in the path of these comets, to me, that would indicate to me that that would be a very human thing to do. Having said that, I'll just insert this image here. I'll note this circled man, okay, because I've seen that before quite often. Little stick figures, little men, even if you've come in from the wrong angle with your microscope, right, and the image they want you to see is not there, they'll do a stick figure like that, taking a leak. That's exactly what they do. I've seen that 2 or 3 times, and I laugh, and you think, oh, well, I'm coming in the wrong way. You don't think, I'll take a photo. You go to where you're trying to get. So there is humour. So that's the reason I wanted to show you that stick figure, because there is a human element within the rocks. There is design. It's hilarious. Some of it's funny, because you actually get to a point and you think, I think I've got to one where I said, oh no, and there was a stick figure pointing this way, or a man pointing a gun. There are so many different ways that they get you to go over there to have a look. You're in the wrong spot, go that way, get over there and look, you're looking at the wrong way. That's why I wanted to show you that, but the reason I wanted to show you that is there is a human element in it just seems like that to me, like there's a comedy aspect or a joke, or it's just, it's humorous, and I just don't see these people coming down here and doing a very human thing, which is killing everybody. That's just not what this is about. This is about an educational process that needs to take place, and I would expect them to be here early enough, certainly to save the people that are in those areas, and I would expect that there will be a lot done. There will be a lot of people that will be put into a prison. I would expect, to be honest, Central Australia to be opened up. They'll open up the lakes and they'll convert that. It'll be probably the way it was once before. It will be turned into an area where they grow food. So what we think is going to be the outback of Australia, the way it is now, is going to be very, very much totally modified. I would expect to be very same thing. It'll be turned into an inland ocean like it was once before, and it will have the capability of growing food for the rest of the world. I expect that that's the sort of thing that will happen in the outback of Australia. We will know more when they get here. Who they're going to get to communicate with everybody, I do not know. I don't know who our Prime Minister is going to be if this bloke that we've got now doesn't start talking on the TV very, very soon. He won't be here. He's going to be away somewhere. He'll be dealt with all the rest of these 666 lads. You're all going to be dealt with. But having said that, like I said before, there is an element of a situation here where they know your problem. Okay, so in other words, the situation is if you're a little boy or girl and you know, we've got to go and watch that Hampstead children's case and realise that there are parents here that are putting their children and forcing them to kill babies from very young ages of 6 and 7 and 8 years old and stuff like this. You know, these people, these little children are traumatised their entire lives. They are the people that are running our world, you know. We must understand that. So you've got to understand that somebody else, the way they get brought into our world, the way I got brought into this world was different than many others. So, you know, some of us have had some very, very, very poor upbringings, so, you know, they understand that too. So that's what I'm saying to you. Really got to start opening this mouth, and the people have got to start opening the mouth of their leaders. I can tell you that they won't be leading very much longer. That'll be all for me today. I'm going to go and watch the grand final, and albeit, like I said, I am a Roosters supporter. I would expect that today will be Canberra's day, but it will be their last grand final win. It'll be their last grand final they ever compete in, because Canberra will not be there come the 7th of November. And that's not very good for people who live in Canberra, but there's plenty of other places in Australia, and I'm sure people make the right decisions in respect to our leaders. We should be able to maintain a lot of the infrastructure. And then on the other hand, we may not, I don't know, but I'm sure we will get a fair idea of just what to expect, okay, soon enough to be able to at least save ourselves. And like I said, people that go to all this effort with all the rocks, and I mean billions of rocks all up and down the rivers, all got these sort of, you know, technology on them. They are all been, whether they're coated on the outside, they are certainly not as natural as you and I were led to believe. And I know that I actually got told by somebody long ago, don't look too close at the rocks, Brian. Anyway, that's all from Brian Whitten and ETR, so I hope you've enjoyed the video series. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.